Hey guys, today I have a cool little video for you to discuss sort of my process when I build a course or I create some piece of content and why I do it that way. It seems like a lot of you guys are getting very interested in making a YouTube channel or building courses or sort of going on this personal branding sort of journey where you're going out and throwing yourself out there to the world. So I thought I'd share a little bit about how I do my things and my process. I want to take a moment to thank our long-term sponsor, Dev Mountain Coding Bootcamp. Dev Mountain has a variety of programs from full stack JavaScript to iOS development, UI, UX, quality assurance. They're one of the very few programs that provide housing alongside their tuition, and one of the most affordable programs. I had the pleasure of seeing some of their campuses, and they were gorgeous. I highly encourage you to check them out at devmountain.com. Hey guys, before we jump into today's topic, I just want to let you know that I am guesting on a podcast called the SixFigure Dev, and there's a link in the description below. It's a fun little podcast. Eric Hanchett's been on it, and it's a funny thing. I mentioned it briefly in our podcast episode, but my old tech lead actually, this is one of his podcasts, and he's enjoying it and been doing it long since he's known me, and I finally decided to hop on it and go give my 2 cents. So if you're interested about it, link in the description. So for me particularly, I am not a very structured individual in life because I like to try things, I like to dive into things and figure it out, and that's how I sort of tackle my courses. And that can be a good and bad thing. I have to sort of take into account what it is I'm trying to accomplish, and that means that I'm constantly sort of jumping between things and thinking about things and trying this, trying that. So when sort of building a actual course, like something like a Udemy course, for instance, typically how my process goes is I'll think one day, I'm like, that'd be a great idea for a course. And then I'll go and I'll create a course. And then I'll have a syllabus that I update for about 3 to 4 months because I think that's the best way of doing that particular type of content where, you're not spending a weekend doing it. And sometimes I do. I'll spend a weekend just working on the syllabus, thinking about it, hammering it out. But I won't start on it for months. The idea being that I'm still thinking about it and I'm going to add modifications to it as it makes sense and continue to grind out, which is sort of slightly different than my YouTube stuff. So, these videos that I do, I don't take out the I don't take out the pauses, the thinking, I typically do them in 1, maybe 2 takes. Part of the reason there is I want it to come off very authentic. I'm not a big I was watching Joshua Fluke's live stream earlier today, and people were asking him why he wasn't like some other YouTubers that are so like happy-go-lucky and like the jump cut after jump cut after jump cut. That's exhausting to me. For me personally, I think it comes off more authentic when you are having this sort of conversation, when you are just being yourself. And that's how I like to record my YouTube videos. Now, that doesn't work for everything, like coding tutorials. So anytime I've done like a in-depth tutorial, that I have to make some cuts for, more than usual, but not as many as you think, because, I have a bug in the code. I just spent 20 minutes solving it. So typically I try to leave it in there if it's a minute or two, but once it gets a little longer where you're like, I really have to debug this, not so much. Now, I will say that my sort of unstructured way of doing things sometimes hits me in the quality department. But this is, for somebody who's trying to start something, I think the item you need to worry about more than anything is just starting it, and you can worry about quality later. And why do I say that? Because we have this, part of the issue with over-analysis paralysis is that people think. I have to have the perfect course, I have to have the perfect YouTube channel, this, and that. And they get so stressed out thinking about how they're going to do the perfect this, perfect that they never get started. And it's okay to put something out that like you're learning, right? So the videos I made 3 years ago aren't as good as the videos I make today. And I've been making videos on YouTube since before I could really code, before I was a full-time developer. I was making videos when I was delivering pizzas, to now I'm working for one of the biggest firms in the world. So this is, these things happen, but part of the reason I'm working at a large company and doing very well is because I was willing to throw out content before I was, fully prepared to make good content and fully understand what I was doing, because you have to try things, you have to jump around and do things. And I think that's one of the big parts. Now, if you are going to try something, might I recommend that you try it alone? So there's another little piece of advice, and this could just be me. So one thing I've tried to do, because I like working with other people and I like talking about these things and sharing ideas and just theory crafting is like a gaming term. But so theory crafting is like, well, what if we did this and this? How do you think that would turn out, right? In gaming senses, like what if we equip this armor, this helmet, this weapon, and that made my class this? How would that play out? And, that's theory crafting. And you can do that with almost anything where you're just talking about what ifs. And I enjoy that sort of stuff. And, in the past, I've started some side projects that I haven't always completed with other people, because it's a different experience. It's a different, so part of why I love side projects, part of why I personally love, doing these tasks, it's not just because I love software, but I love being able to have the control of the direction of it and the lack of responsibility. What do I mean by that? I like that if I want to change a technology, say, hey, cool, I know we said we were going to do this in C#, I'm going to do it in JavaScript this weekend because I want to. Or I'm sick of working in Angular, I'm going to do it in Vue. Or, you know what, instead of making this our feature set, I'm going to make it this our feature set. These are decisions that if you're the one that's in control of your project, and this can be to your detriment or not, but you can make these decisions on a dime because it's your side project. Now, if you're on a team, you have to account for that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me in the past, when I was just getting going, now it's much easier because I have multiple things going on. Like I have a course I'm building. Oh, cool. I have a podcast that I'm working on with somebody else. So I have things that are my own, and then I have things that are part of a team. And when you're getting started, I'd highly recommend you stay in that your own, because I don't think you should go on a team until you've already built something of your own. You've already developed something. You worked on a blog for a year, a YouTube channel, and built a course. Whatever it is. It doesn't have to be software related. So few people have gone and developed their own side project in anything. Forget just software, just in their life, right? Go and do something that you built from the ground up, and make a little space for yourself before you go and tackle working with teammates. Now, I've also worked with people like that's one of the great things. So I've talked a little bit about how I'm working on a podcast with Eric, and it looks like we're going to have that out in the next 2 months sometime. So we're making good progress. So Eric Hanchett, who's also a fellow YouTuber and an author, he has a much different background than I have. He has a bachelor's in computer science, a master's in business. He has more years of experience, a little bit farther along in his life, wife, kids, all that sort of stuff, and a little bit less of a wild card than me. You have me, 2-time college dropout, I'm a little bit eccentric at times. I like to, I have no problem taking big gambles. So when we do our podcast, I'm much more of a like, hey, we're going to talk about this, and I don't even have talking points. We're just going to go flow. When he has an episode, it's a 3-4 page syllabus, sections, subsections, subpoints sometimes. Everyone has to find what works best for them. And what I encourage you to do is just try. So if you're thinking about building a course, if you're thinking about starting a side project, just get started. And as you're finding things that work for you or don't work for you, get better and do it. I used to, when I built my course, not even do the syllabus. Nowadays, that's one of the first things I do. I slowly work on it, or I try to knock it out, bam, 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 bam. And then I found like a consistent pace with this was the best thing to do. And that sort of to that point about building courses and all this, in anything in life to be successful, consistency is the best thing that you can do in your career. So I highly encourage you to sort of take up that principle, because that's what's been very helpful for me in sort of progressing. So anyway, guys, this is just a little bit about my thought process on how I make courses and things like that. And I made this video to, one, hopefully get you guys to start a side project, and two, to remind you again that I am doing a podcast and look forward to it. But also I'm guesting on podcasts, which I'll probably throw a spot in the beginning of the video since I forgot to say it in this loop. But I'm guesting on the SixFigure Dev, which is a podcast about software development, and we talk about a lot of things, my origin story, like Marvel film and stuff like that. There's a link in the description if you're interested. Check it out. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share, and of course, look for my courses with coupons and stuff like that in the description below. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to check out my 100 Algorithm Challenge course. Get you prepped for those technical interviews to make sure you get nice offers. I actually just added some new content to it so you can get prepared for those technical phone screens as well. There's a link in the description to get it for just $9.99.